Yes, sir.
Ready for me?
Yes, sir.
Communications that we have received from the U.S. Postal Service indicate the reason for the possible closure of the Ryland Post Office is budgetary concerns. But, according to Title 39, Part 1, Chapter 1, Section 101, subsections A and B, and here's the question, and I believe this is what this says: isn't it illegal to close a rural post office for economic reasons?
Yes. And this is another, the question is, oh, well, you guys heard, right? This is another thing that's kind of weird. We cannot identify a post office for proposed closing based on the bottom line, net income. And the reason for that is it protects the small offices, because most of the small offices don't make their bottom line. So the regulation says that the Postal Service, you cannot identify offices based on bottom line sales and total operating expense, net income. However, our proposal to, I think it's 2,000 or 2,200 post offices nationally, and the 40 or 50 that's here in the state of Alabama, that's a fiscal decision, but we're not identifying offices based on their bottom line performance. So it's a fiscal decision, but it's not identifying offices based on their bottom line performance. We're identifying offices based on the feasibility of consolidation. So I hope I answered that.
I don't want to get into somebody else's question.
Okay.
But what if a post office is making a profit? Shouldn't that be a consideration as to whether you close it or not?
It's part of the review process. You know, we look at well, you guys heard. We look at the fiscal, but we also look at the feasibility of consolidation. So we look at everything as part of the package, but what that regulation states is that we cannot say the Capers Post Office, we're going to close it because it's not making money. We can't do that.
Well, what is going to be the deciding factor then? I mean, I know you.
The question is, what's the deciding factor for closing?
Right.
Well, I mean, for us, after tonight and after we hear your feedback, we'll go and we'll discuss it. If we decide to proceed, we will propose a closing.
Yeah.
And it will then at that point be evaluated at the area level, and they'll look through this package to see if we've answered all the questions and if it's satisfied our area vice president. And then it goes up the line. So there's no single deciding factor, okay. But we wouldn't be here today if we didn't think at this point we're beyond the feasibility stage. We're at the point of where we say, okay, we want to propose to close, so we need to have a meeting to hear the feedback from the community.
Does location of the actual post office make a difference? Because Ryland is taking so many different subdivisions.
That's right.
It is so convenient to do where some of the other smaller ones on the peripheral part of us here you have to drive away.
That's right.
Quite a ways
Right.
to get to this one on the main street of subdivisions coming straight down and also coming from crossways. So it gets hit all the time.
The question is, do we consider location of the post offices and the amount of subdivisions and the concentration of customers? We look at that. I mean, but we don't say, well, a post office is located here and there's 1,000 homes right next to it. If we think it's feasible to consolidate in an office close by. So, and I guess the point behind this, to your point is, if it went through, would it be an inconvenience to the customers of Ryland Post Office? Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you have a post office that's convenient and it's right off the main road, and you're saying that there's subdivisions here, so the folks that are near the post office, it would be an inconvenience to go. The proposed office is, I think, 3 miles away. So it would be 3 miles further away to propose Brownsboro. But for us, the main concern for us operationally is feasibility. Lady back here? No?
It's not a business decision on the bottom line. And why is the whole thing about that?
Because we are looking, we are as organizationally through the state, we are looking to reduce our fixed costs. However, we can't identify post offices based on their bottom line.
But however, it is based on this. Everything's based on the law. It's a business decision.
The decision to consolidate is a business decision. Identifying post offices is not based on a bottom line.
It's always about money. I mean,
But the bottom line is a business decision.
Right.
Yeah.
That
Right.
as far as business is based on the bottom line.
Right. But and I guess back to your point, to the original question about Title 39, that we can't identify rural post office is based on the bottom line. Right. Okay, sir, I'm sorry. I hope I answered the question. Okay.
Thank y'all for giving the opportunity to ask this question. I appreciate that. Who by name and position was responsible for submitting the Ryland Post Office specifically for consideration of closing?
What was the question?
Who by name and position, got that?
Go ahead.
Was responsible for submitting the Ryland Post Office specifically for consideration of closing?
It's by committee. We're reviewing all offices through the state. It is by committee. Each through our operations support staff and through our manager of post office operations.
Could you give a list of the people that's on that committee?
I cannot give a list of the people that's on the committee. The committee is made up of operations support, marketing, and finance, and post office operations managers.
Could you find that information out and give it to us at another day?
If that request is in writing, so if you'd like to submit that,
Well, it is submitted.
at another time, you can do that.
What about now?
Not now.
Okay. So we really don't know who's on the committee that made the decision to close the post office.
I know who's on the committee. I won't be naming all the people that's on the committee.
Can't you name a few of them?
I'm one of them.
You one of them.
I'm one of them.
Okay.
at what level is it?
What's
What level is
Yeah, is this committee from?
What level?
Yeah,
It's the postal leadership in the district,
in this district?
in this state, yes.
Okay.
I'm part of the leadership in the state. The location, our main office is in Birmingham, but the leadership, the marketing, the finance, we cover the entire state. So not just the city of Birmingham.
So if you're on the committee, are the other folks on the table, are they on the committee also?
Manager of Post Office Operations is part of the leadership. Derek King.
So this is not the committee that's made the decision, or is this the committee that's made the decision?
You have two of the leadership people here that are part of the decision making. So that's Reginald Capers and Derek King.
But you will give that to us at a further time, correct? That information?
That will be answered part of this package today. If you wrote a letter separately requesting that information, we would take that into consideration whether we respond or not.
Okay, so, but we know some of the committees here.
You've got me here. You got me here. Hour and a half. The question was how much time is allotted for tonight? So I said an hour and a half.
Can you give a summary of how many post offices are in the state, how many in this district, how many are in contention for closure?
Okay, the question is a summary of how many post offices in the state and how many are,
District, and then contention for closure within district?
well, the state is the district.
Okay.
So we cover the entire state. So there's 548 operating post offices. That doesn't include the stations and branches. Like Huntsville is a post office with multiple stations and branches. And then it doesn't include facilities that are already suspended. The buildings are still there, but they're suspended operations. So, and the projected amount of proposed closing would be about 40 to 50. More like 40.
Slightly less than 10%, but about 10%.
Yeah, I mean, probably less than 10%. I'm not that good at math. Yes, ma'am.
Would you say that the Ryland Post Office is in the Huntsville area?
Would I say is in the Huntsville area?
Yes.
Yes, I would.
No.
In fact, I was it's in the delivery areas out of Huntsville, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.